Hi friends, welcome back to another amazing adventure through the Bible. Today's story is full of dreams, colors, and surprises. It's about a boy named Joseph and a special dream from God that changed everything. Are you ready? Let's jump in. Long ago, in a land called Canaan, there lived a boy named Joseph. He wasn't the oldest, nor the strongest, but Joseph was special in a way no one could quite understand yet. He had 11 brothers. Can you imagine such a big, noisy household? Every morning there were chores to do, feeding the animals, helping in the fields, and gathering food for the family. Joseph was always cheerful and eager to help, even when the tasks were hard. His father Jacob noticed Joseph's kind heart and pure spirit. Among all his sons, Jacob felt a special bond with Joseph. He often thought, "This son of mine has something wonderful about him." Joseph's smile lit up the home, and his laughter made the long days brighter. Truly, he was a joy to everyone around him. Jacob loved all his children, but Joseph held a unique place in his heart. One day, Jacob decided to give Joseph a gift, unlike anything his other sons had ever received. He presented Joseph with a magnificent coat, a coat so colorful it looked like a rainbow woven into fabric. Red, blue, green, gold, purple, colors so bright they sparkled in the sunlight. Joseph's eyes widened in amazement as he slipped it on. It wasn't just clothing. It was a sign of his father's love. But as Joseph twirled happily in his new coat, his brothers stood nearby, their faces dark with jealousy. They whispered among themselves, "Why does he always get the special treatment?" To them, the coat wasn't just fabric. It was proof of their father's favoritism. As days passed, Joseph wore his coat with joy, but every time his brothers saw it, their envy grew deeper. They began to notice how their father favored Joseph, and anger burned in their hearts. Instead of joining Joseph in his happiness, they grumbled and frowned. Their words turned sharp, and their glances cold. Joseph tried to understand, but he was young and full of innocence. He didn't realize how much their jealousy was growing, or how dangerous it could become. The more Joseph shone with kindness, the darker their jealousy seemed to grow. Their hearts were becoming heavy with bitterness instead of love. One night, as the stars filled the sky, Joseph lay down to sleep. As his eyes closed, something amazing happened. God gave him a dream, not an ordinary dream, but one filled with meaning. In the dream, Joseph and his brothers were out in the field tying bundles of wheat. Suddenly, Joseph's bundles stood tall and strong, while all his brothers' bundles bent down around his. When Joseph woke the next morning, his heart was racing. He couldn't keep it to himself. At breakfast, he told his brothers, "Listen to the dream I had. All of your bundles bowed down to mine." His voice was full of excitement, not knowing the storm his words would cause. For Joseph, the dream felt like a treasure he had to share. His brothers froze. Their eyes narrowed. "So you think you'll be our ruler one day?" they snapped. "Do you believe you'll be greater than us?" Joseph didn't mean to upset them. He only wanted to share the wonder of what he saw. But instead of excitement, his words poured fuel onto their jealousy. His brothers stormed away, muttering angrily. Joseph was left puzzled. Why were they so upset about a dream? He replayed the vision in his mind, wondering if he had said something wrong. Yet deep down, he felt God had placed the dream in his heart for a reason. A few nights later, Joseph dreamed again. And this one was even more amazing. In the dream, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars all bowed down to him. When Joseph shared it with his family, his father Jacob furrowed his brow. "Do you mean that even I and your mother, along with your brothers, will bow down to you?" Jacob asked. The question lingered in the air. Even Jacob, who loved Joseph deeply, wasn't sure what to think. But he kept the dream in his heart, wondering if God had a special plan for Joseph. Joseph could feel the weight of the dream. It was no ordinary vision. It felt like God was whispering about the future. Joseph's brothers were furious. 2 dreams now? Both showing Joseph as a ruler? To them, it felt like an insult. They couldn't bear the thought of bowing before their younger brother. Their jealousy grew darker until it turned into anger and bitterness. Instead of listening to what God might be saying, they let their hearts fill with hate. They forgot the love of family and allowed jealousy to control their actions. Every glance at Joseph reminded them of the dreams they wished they could forget. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers as they worked far away in the fields. Wearing his colorful coat, Joseph set off, smiling as he walked through the hills. From a distance, his brothers saw him coming. Their jealousy boiled over. "Look, here comes the dreamer," one sneered. The others nodded, their eyes filled with hatred. That day, they made a terrible plan. They whispered to one another, "This is our chance to stop him." The sound of Joseph's cheerful steps only made their anger stronger. When Joseph reached them, instead of greeting him, his brothers grabbed him. They ripped off his colorful coat and threw him into a deep, empty pit. Joseph cried out, terrified and confused, "Brothers, why are you doing this?" But no one answered. Their hearts were too hard with anger. As Joseph looked up from the darkness of the pit, he could see the sunlight fading and fear filling his heart. The silence was heavier than the pit itself. His heart ached as he realized his own brothers had betrayed him. Not long after, a caravan of traders passed by, traveling to Egypt. "Let's sell him," one brother suggested. "Then we won't have his dreams bothering us anymore." They pulled Joseph out and sold him for a handful of silver coins. The traders tied Joseph's hands and led him away. As the caravan disappeared, Joseph's brothers felt a mix of relief and guilt. They dipped Joseph's beautiful coat in goat's blood and took it to Jacob, saying, "We found this. Does it belong to Joseph?" Jacob's heart broke. He believed his beloved son was gone forever. Tears streamed down his face as he mourned. He thought he would never see Joseph again. Joseph, now far from home, entered the bustling land of Egypt. He felt alone and afraid, but he remembered the dreams God had given him. Deep inside, he believed God still had a plan. Though the journey was painful, Joseph chose to trust that God was with him, even in this strange new place. The streets were crowded with people speaking a language he didn't know. But even in this foreign land, Joseph held on tightly to his faith. Little did Joseph know, every step, from the pit to Egypt, was part of God's bigger story. The dreams he had weren't just for him. They were part of a plan to save many lives one day. Though his brothers thought they had ended his story, God was only beginning it. In ways Joseph couldn't yet see, God was preparing him for a purpose greater than he imagined. What seemed like a loss would soon become a blessing. Joseph's colorful coat was gone, but the love of God remained wrapped around him. The coat had made him stand out, but it wasn't the coat that made Joseph special. It was God's calling on his life. And friends, just like Joseph, you don't need a special coat to be precious in God's eyes. He loves you just as you are. Even when others overlook you, God sees your heart. His love is brighter than any rainbow-colored coat. Imagine how hard it must have been for Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, taken from his home, sold into slavery. Yet through it all, he held on to faith. He didn't give up on God, even when everything seemed unfair. That's a lesson for us too. No matter how tough life gets, God is always with us. When we can't see the way forward, God is already lighting the path. He never abandons his children, not even for a moment. Joseph's story reminds us that God can speak in amazing ways. Through dreams, through his word, and through the quiet whispers in our hearts. Sometimes what he shows us may not make sense right away, but if we trust him, we'll see his plan unfold in time. His messages may come softly, but they carry great power. When you listen, you may hear him guiding your heart towards something wonderful. Not everyone will understand the dreams or plans God gives you. Joseph's brothers didn't. They laughed at him, mocked him, and even betrayed him. But Joseph didn't let their doubts stop him. He trusted that God's words were true. You can too. Keep believing, even if others don't see what you see. Remember, God's approval is worth more than anyone else's opinion, even in the pit, even in a foreign land. Even when Joseph felt forgotten, God was right there with him, and the same is true for you. At school, at home, when you're happy, and even when you're sad, God never leaves your side. His presence is like a gentle light that shines in the darkest moments. Wherever you go, you can carry his love in your heart. Sometimes the hardest times in our lives prepare us for the greatest blessings. Joseph didn't know it yet, but being taken to Egypt would one day allow him to help thousands of people. God can turn our troubles into triumphs if we trust him. What feels like a setback may actually be a step forward in God's plan. Every challenge can grow your faith and make you stronger. So what can we learn from Joseph's dream? God speaks in amazing ways. Not everyone will understand your dream. God has a plan, even when life is hard. Keep these lessons close to your heart because they can guide you whenever life feels confusing. Joseph's story proves that God's hand is always at work. And just like Joseph, you are never forgotten. Dear God, thank you for Joseph and his amazing dreams. Help us to trust you even when life feels unfair or confusing. Remind us that you are always with us, guiding our steps. Give us courage to believe in the dreams you place in our hearts, and help us to never give up, knowing that your plan is always good. Amen. Thanks for joining us to discover the secrets of Joseph's dream that changed everything. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for more Bible adventures made just for you. Bye for now, and always remember, God has big dreams for you.